Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another anime review, and this time I'll be covering Season 2 Tonikawa Over the Moon High School Days, which takes place in someplace between the episodes 1 to 13 or 0 to 13 in Season 2. Now, jumping directly into the episode titles, so we've got 4 episodes here connected to the series. Episode 1 is called Formulas for the Moon and the Stars, to which this part of the story takes place like in between Season 2. And whilst we're watching this episode, Nasa is asked to come and be a teacher at one of the high schools, but we also learned that this high school is like a high school for young ladies. And so it's a girls' high school, to which he's also asked to help teach them certain methods of programming. And whilst this occurs, there's a formula left on the board, to which he realizes that the formula is actually incomplete, and it sort of leads to a bit of a mystery figure by the name of Kaguya, who we don't see we do see the character show up, but only within certain parts of each episode. So when he's introduced to the school, of course, he does have the young ladies fawning over him because, yes, they do eventually find out that he's married because he's open and honest to speak about it. In some cases, in the later episodes, he's sort of like asked for a little bit of romantic advice. And this happens mainly in sort of like the first 2 episodes. So next episode is Life as a Teacher, where NASA's students keep making unexpected appearances in his life, so they try to learn a little bit more about him, and also how his relationship with his wife is happening. And in some cases, yes, they sort of like want to know how to be, I guess, good, honest students who want also their own nice little romantic little life as well. To which we do have a case in episode 2, to which they end up going to a bit of a ramen shop. And in the ramen shop, we do have like one of the students there that has their own little video blog of sorts, to which they also do reviews of like ramen that they enjoy, and they also enjoy like spicy ramen, which was really quite fun to see in the story. By the time we move into episode 3, which is called Romance is Generally Pretty Hard, something I forgot to do was also cover the synopsis for episodes 1 and 2, so I'll cover that right now. For episode 1, it's in an attempt to help pave the way for Yanagi Sensei's wedding. Nasa ends up teaching at the school, which is called a Togi. With the next one, Life as a Teacher, the synopsis is NASA's new students keep making unexpected appearances in his life, and Aya lets her guard down, or one of the characters that are there. Moving into episode 3, which is called Romance is Generally Pretty Hard. After a texting mixed up, we learned that one of the students accidentally sent him a text. And one thing that's sort of like been happening in this particular series is that you've also got like little instigators from Konami's, I think it's older sister and mother, speaking like with both Nasa and also Tsukasa. And speaking of the impact of like how younger students might also influence him maybe to flirt with them, but with their case, they seem to be pretty in love, and you see that throughout the story, and they also do their best to reciprocate to each other. So, throughout this episode, we see Nasa also help one of the other students who's trying to basically trying to win over a person that they actually like, and they end up talking about it, and in the situation they do eventually confront the person to which they really like, and after they mention that they like them, they just walk away sort of like unknowingly, thinking it's just another person, and in that it's sort of like, don't quite turn it down. There are more stars outside. Don't consider it the end of the world. So done in that quiet instance. And as we start to move towards the end, moving into episode 4, it's called Across 1,000 Nights, to which we learn of the character of Gecko Kaguya, the one who's sort of like been missing throughout the 3 episodes. And we learn that he is actually NASA's brightest students, but also the most mysterious student. We do get a bit of a connection to how she is also connected to Tsukasa's past in some instance, and she does actually say something to Tsukasa at the end of the last episode. And I must admit, this last episode in the series was in a way out of this world, because whilst we get to learn of sort of like the best friend of Kaguya, to which went out of her way to help her out to come to enjoy school more, but also seeing the environment that she lives in, so that sort of helped as well. When we move towards the next part of the story, we begin to take place and watch a little bit more of what is happening with Tsukasa and Nasa and Yuzuki. And in it, it's sort of like, it's addressing, it is Tsukasa's journey at an end. And whilst this is occurring a little bit later in the story, we have Nasa, who ends up having a dream and ends up going to, or in this dream, he ends up in the past. And in the past, he ends up, of course, seeing Tsukasa, but at the time, in the dream, it's sort of like she doesn't recognize him, but speaks about him and also having a sister, how she plans on traveling overseas in the story. And we learn that in the dream it sort of takes place in, I think it's the Edo period, I could be incorrect there, but we also get to see a number of not just shrines but specialized pagodas that take place in this setting of Japan, which he's having this dream. Not long after he has his dream, and he turns and looks around, right, he really thinks that Tsukasa is gone. Well, I'm not gonna give any more information about this, because I highly recommend you definitely watch these 4 episodes, and I really have enjoyed watching this series of Tonikawa. I'm going to enjoy reading through more of it, and I really would like to see a season 3 of this, because I enjoy the characters. I enjoy not only the characters, but also how they portray, I guess, a young love relationship with these characters, and how these newlyweds are getting to know each other, not only day by day, but eventually year by year. And this is why I'd like to see this series continue for another season. Like, what happens after year 1, year 2, with this story of Tonikawa, which in the English, it's also called Fly Me to the Moon. absolutely amazing series. I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the side characters. Now it's time to move into, I guess, my small afterthoughts in relation to this part of the series, and that is how well this story was executed. Now, how accurate it is according to the manga, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if I've read this far in the manga, and I'm going to have to catch up if I am. But there was actually something there that I have seen in the manga, and it had to do with the topic of one of the supporting characters brought up of saying, "I love you." And I remember reading that in the manga because I loved seeing how Nasa absolutely adores his wife, but also how much Tsukasa adores her husband. And they really don't want things to go to waste, including in their relationship. And it's absolutely beautiful. So, moving into the next thing, and that is, of course, now the ratings. So, for the main characters, I give a 8.5 out of 10. For the supporting characters, I give a 7.5 out of 10. For the soundtrack, an 8 out of 10. For the animation, an 8 out of 10. And for the overall story, an 8.5 out of 10. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day. And I'll just leave it off with one question. If you happen to watch any of these episodes, what was your favourite episode out of this? Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.